I think three things together. What I say, the natural state of the free market is deflation. If Bitcoin stayed decentralized and secure, it is the first free market that's ever existed. And number three, only your time matters. So where are you spending your time? Are you spending your time contributing to the nonsense, or getting co-opted, or listening to all of what has to be a control system? That might be. Is your energy making it stronger? And if you're doing it, if you just put anything in it, the answer is yes. And if you're pricing Bitcoin from the control system, you haven't left the matrix yet.
In every era of monetary upheaval, people cling to the most familiar signals. Today, that signal is the US dollar. But according to Jeff Booth, that fixation has blinded even Bitcoiners to the deeper transformation happening underneath the surface. While headlines obsess over short-term price swings, Booth argues that the real story isn't whether Bitcoin trades at $80,000 or $160,000. It's that a free market money is emerging for the first time in history. And in a world drowning in manipulation, distortion, and control, that emergence changes everything. Booth's frustration is simple. Bitcoiners who still price the asset entirely through a fiat lens haven't actually escaped the very system they claim to be fighting. He points out that people are measuring their hope, their progress, and even their self-worth through a currency backed by political coercion, debt expansion, and a global network of influence that the US is rapidly losing control over. As countries push back against American overreach, and as the dollar's credibility erodes, Booth sees it as almost comical that the Bitcoin community continues acting like USD valuations are the ultimate scoreboard. And the data support his argument. Global central banks collectively printed over $26 trillion in the last decade. The US alone is adding more than $1 trillion in new debt every 100 days. More and more nations are de-dollarizing, building alternative settlement rails, and strengthening regional alliances. Meanwhile, Bitcoin continues doing exactly what it has always done, producing a new block every 10 minutes, expanding its global user base, and functioning as the one monetary system immune to political capture. Booth believes the obsession with short-term price noise is a distraction from the historic shift underway, the rise of a decentralized, permissionless, and incorruptible monetary network. And that's where Booth sets the stage. If you're still viewing Bitcoin through the lens of the control system, you haven't truly exited the matrix. In today's video, Jeff Booth explains why the world feels so unstable, why liquidity is vanishing globally, and why Bitcoin's fundamentals have never been stronger. He breaks down credit stress, dollar fragility, and the geopolitical realignment that's accelerating Bitcoin adoption worldwide. So if you're new here, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stick around, because Booth is about to reveal some of the most important insights you'll hear all year.
What do you attribute this just general, malaise or discontent that people are feeling right now? Like, is it all just the price action, or is there something deeper there?
Yeah, it's obviously the price action in US dollars. So people say it doesn't affect them, but every time they measure it in that currency, then of course it's affecting them. So we know that there's a tightening of liquidity conditions in the world, and that tightening of liquidity conditions is creating credit problems globally. Those credit problems, like if you saw the auto loans and delayed in payments or late auto loans, were off the charts more than 2006, 2007, 2008. The LPs in funds like real estate and private equity funds like real estate are prohibited to get out of those because those haven't been marked to market. So there's a whole bunch of tightening liquidity positions that people thought that their money was worth X. That isn't. It's like, I love what Larry says, Larry Leopard. It's already gone to money heaven. And the belief is so it hasn't been marked to market. And there's a whole bunch of these that the tightening liquidity conditions will create more of these that'll get exposed, and that exposure will start to move into other industries because those people who thought they had money are paying other people who thought they had money, and that'll tighten. So we've been the Fed has been removing liquidity for a while, and every time they do, you hit these events that come from nowhere that have always been there that then will cascade, which will create a whole bunch of need for liquidity. It's not just the Fed, but it's a global liquidity that's needed. And when we say liquidity, let's just print money out of nothing. And the irony is everybody's measuring what Bitcoin is worth through that. If the money never was printed, then Bitcoin would fall a lot more, and it would be the only thing of value in the world, because everything else would fall to almost zero. But I think the cause for concern or what people are doing, nothing has changed in Bitcoin. Nothing. Every 10 minutes, there's a new block. There's the builders are building. All of the layers are being built. Is being used as a circular economy money in many different communities around the world, and it's growing extraordinarily fast. Because retail hasn't bought, or Michael Saylor can't buy because his engine just went into reverse, doesn't mean Bitcoin isn't successful and isn't imposing success. It does mean that if you take and leverage, you could get liquidated. And lots of people have been taking leverage in this.
What was your take on the Square announcements? Were you equally as excited about that? And then are there other things that you're seeing from the medium of exchange standpoint that are making you go, wow, this is an incredible time?
Yeah, there's nothing to worry about on this. This is imposing a new discipline in the world. I'm not the other nonsense, I just don't pay any attention to it. I traveled for 2 weeks in Southeast Asia with Miles Suter, who's leading the efforts on the Cash App. And he's just such a genuine, incredible guy who also understands where this is going. Obviously, he would have jacked us, but he's a Bitcoiner. He knows it needs to be used as a medium of exchange. And they've done, as far as a public company, there is no public company that has done more to accelerate this, including in investing in open source and some of the stuff than Cash App and Miles has done. So fortunate to call him a friend, and seeing some of this, seeing some of these that were coming out and knew that they were coming out. Some of the other stuff behind the scenes that are happening. This is so people. The headlines would talk about Venezuela and what's happening from. We're going to target the drug dealers, right? But really, what do you think that is? It's a U.S. exerting its control over. We need energy resources, raw materials, and the likes. And we can't move him out by talking about democracy. So what's happening there too, and on the ground, on the bottom up, and it is a dictatorship, and but that's not really the thing, right? So the real thing is there's lots of dictators that the U.S. doesn't go into, right? Perhaps even funds. In this case, I think the security umbrella of what the U.S. or what North and South America look like, is really at play here. And you can imagine Venezuela has vast resources in energy, unutilized energy, wasted energy, per se, that would likely pay for the entire energy infrastructure and more by going into. So some of these things, the wheels are in motion. These things are already going to happen. Can't tell you the time of when these things happen, but there's more and more Bitcoiners in the world. There's more and more understanding of what Bitcoin is and mining and energy and everything else, and it's securing the energy resources to increase the wealth of their nation, and that will happen. I can't tell you when, but that's going to happen, and so you can see this playing out in all sorts of different ways, around the world, and then at the same time, people are talking about Bitcoin price in US dollars.
Booth begins by addressing the growing sense of discontent Bitcoiners are feeling, and he's clear, it isn't just bad price action, it's the tightening of global liquidity. Auto loan delinquencies are higher than they were before the 2008 financial crisis. Private equity and real estate funds can't let their investors withdraw because their assets aren't marked to market. Entire sectors are discovering that the wealth they thought they had has already gone to money heaven, as Larry Lepard puts it. Booth argues that the Federal Reserve didn't create these problems. They simply revealed them by pulling liquidity out of a system built on silent leverage. And while Bitcoin keeps functioning flawlessly, anyone trading it with leverage is getting wiped out because they're measuring it against a currency that's collapsing under its own weight. But Booth doesn't see this moment as something to fear. In fact, he believes this is precisely when the greatest opportunities emerge. When the world is terrified, confused, and asleep to what's really happening, individuals who understand Bitcoin's deeper economic and moral foundation have a unique advantage. Booth stresses that a true free market naturally produces deflation, efficiency, and abundance, and Bitcoin is the only system capable of delivering that reality. That's why he urges people to focus not on fiat valuations, but on where they spend their time, their energy, and their attention. Because leaving the matrix isn't just about holding Bitcoin. It's about building in the new system while the old one crumbles. And that leads Booth into one of the most important segments of this interview: how Bitcoiners can create value, gain agency, and participate in the first true free market in human history.
The world is still mostly asleep to what's happening. More and more are waking up. But if you, as a humble pleb, are trying to do things to set yourself and your family up for the future, the best time to do that is not when everybody's jumping on board. It's when everybody seems to be kind of terrified, or there's an information asymmetry there.
Yeah, I would even go further, like way further than that. And from I think three things together. What I say, the natural state of the free market is deflation. If Bitcoin stayed decentralized and secure, it is the first free market that's ever existed. And number three, only your time matters. So where are you spending your time? Are you spending your time contributing to the nonsense, or getting co-opted, or listening to all of what has to be a control system? That might be. Is your energy making it stronger? And if you're doing it, if you're just anything in it, the answer is yes. And if you're pricing Bitcoin from the control system, you haven't left the matrix yet. What's worse, you're talking about you're probably talking about a whole bunch of other people still in the matrix, like you're better. And I'm not, there is no better or worse. It would just have to look like this as we shifted our mental energy into a new system. And the new system, because of our mental energy and what we're building in it, would become stronger, and it would bend reality in a different way than we've ever lived in. We would be part of that equation. But now the thing that I said is more important. If you're part of the equation in the free market, and 99.9% of people aren't, wouldn't that provide an incredible opportunity to create value? And why would you be mad about the value you're able to create for others because the world looks like it does? You should be celebrating it. You should be celebrating it all day long. You should have empathy for people that live in the other world. But why are you mad at the thing that's giving you ability to create crazy value? Because you can only do that because the world looks like it does today. Because so many people are trapped in fiat. Because so many people are, the ability to contribute comes from that.
And that's your opportunity, is essentially what you're saying.
It's the best opportunity that you there's no ever in history been a better opportunity, because we've never lived in the free market. And you live in the first one. Why would you let that system take your best energy? Why would you fight it? Why would you just spend the time building, doing the things that, and Walker, this is what you do. This is why we became friends, right? This is why, but a lot of my incredible friends, this is why I feel like so fulfilled, because I'm doing this thing with people that are doing this thing in the first time it's ever existed, that we actually get to bend reality. And the more, and we all, me too, were once in that other system. And we moved our time more and more. And every time we moved our time, it's gotten a little better. So this is not something I'm mad about. I'm just so glad I get to do it. I get to do this, and the opportunity wouldn't exist unless the other system looked like it and everyone else was confused. I agree with you generally that I think you could do it in a number of different ways. I've always been an entrepreneur, so once I understand something, I want to jump all in, make every mistake I need to make, and because I learn faster, and I just go. And I don't care about the consequence. I do a lot of work to say, am I right? Is this the right thing? But if that then is aligned, then I just make the jump. And I realize that the jump also makes me ensure that I have agency because the right and wrong comes from us. And so I'm right in the new system if the new system wins, and I'm one of the nodes in it that helps it win. But for some other people wanting to because I get asked the question you just asked all the time, you could do this. You could say, okay, here is how many hours I spend in the existing system. And what they should do, and what I would do if I were, is also count the hours that it's usurping your energy by your fear in it, what AI is going to do from it, what Elon Musk, how many times you're listening to the media out inside that system, and how much of your real time, just add up your hours in a day, take out 8 hours for sleeping, and say how much time am I really still co-opted into it. Then I'll have a job or I'll have whatever I have in my business, and then take some of that time intentionally, draw a box around that time, and say, I'm contributing all of this to the new. And in that, I'm going to do what I'm best at, and I'm going to provide value to somebody else. You're doing in podcasts and Audible for other writers and stuff. Each person will have their unique genius, strength, and everything else. And if I don't want to start something myself to create value for somebody else in this new system, then who is aligned? Who else has started something that I'm completely aligned with? And I need to now meet them and tell them why I'm the best for their business. But in the 2 or 3 or 4 hours that I've chosen the bucket, I don't even need to get paid for. I'm just doing it for learning. And then what will happen is that bucket will expand. That bucket will expand because you'll be showing up by providing value to somebody else, and you'll learn exactly what it is to provide value to someone else, and you'll then more easily be able to make that jump. But just remember, if you're making just even a little bit of sats that are a 45% IRR against the existing system, that's valuable time. Those sats are going to be worth a lot of money in time if you can just compound those sats. You don't have to make, if you're making $8,000 a month in one system, you don't have to, and you're carving out some hours in this, you don't have to make $8,000 a month in Bitcoin. And then, because that's what people are doing, right? They're measuring the other system that's being debased, and they're scared to, because they have to replace the whole thing.
Booth explains that the biggest advantage any Bitcoiner has today isn't capital, it's clarity. If 99.9% of the world is still operating inside a failing system, then the few who understand what's coming have an extraordinary opportunity to build the foundations of the next one. By moving your time from the legacy world into Bitcoin's emerging economy, you're not just benefiting personally, you're helping shape a system rooted in fairness, transparency, and voluntary exchange. Booth sees this as the greatest entrepreneurial window humanity has ever experienced, because no previous generation has had access to a global, censorship-resistant free market. He also emphasizes that escaping fiat isn't an overnight jump. It's a gradual reallocation of time, energy, and skills. Whether you're contributing to Bitcoin projects, offering services to Bitcoin-native businesses, or simply learning and participating in the ecosystem, every hour you spend in the new system compounds. Even a small amount of Bitcoin earned today, compounding at a rate that consistently outperforms the fiat world, can change your life over time. Booth argues that the real loss isn't missing a price move. It's wasting your creative energy fighting a collapsing system instead of building the future. Ultimately, Booth's message is simple but profound. Stop waiting for the world to wake up. Don't measure your progress through a currency designed to keep you trapped. And above all, don't squander the rare chance to participate in the emergence of the first truly decentralized, borderless free market. The matrix only has power if you keep feeding it with your attention. The moment you stop doing that, you start building something better. If you want to stay ahead of the shift, not emotionally reacting to price, but understanding the bigger structural change Booth is pointing to, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like the video, drop a comment letting me know what part of Booth's perspective resonates with you the most, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next upload. Stay curious, stay analytical, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.